Hello guys. So in this one, I'm gonna be talking about how you should go about your like a new game, and how you would be able to reach pretty far in the game, like in cycle 500 plus. So right now I'm in the specific one. I'm in cycle 511, and doing pretty well really. Have my plastic and all that. Next up, I'm gonna be visiting space, for which I'm gonna be creating separate video tutorials. But in this one, I kind of wanted to focus a little bit on giving you guidelines, on letting you know how you should go about your games, and if you want to reach a similar stage. And just give you some tips based on my experience. And obviously, I'm not like the best player, but I do have some knowledge of the game. I've played it a lot, so hopefully it's gonna be useful for you. So obviously the most important thing in the very beginning is to keep your dupes happy and have oxygen and all that. Super important. And I did have to turn off oxygen at some points just because I was arranging my mushroom production, which you see as it's not working here just because of oxygen. This is something that you have to be careful about, because when you open up new areas that have polluted oxygen, there's actually a lot of oxygen around there. And oxygen actually is being produced all the time, polluted oxygen. And once you clean it, you get clean oxygen, and you can pretty much overpressurize your base or the surrounding areas. You have to be a little bit careful about that. But it's not a super big deal. You can just turn off your oxygen production for a little while, as I did here. So it's super important, as I mentioned, to be wary of your duplicate needs. Make sure that you have food, and make sure that you have oxygen. And I would say that everything starts with water and power. If you would ask me what are the two most important things that I would be very very careful about in this game, one would be water and second would be power, and not necessarily with that order actually. Both are interchangeable, and you have to be careful about both of those. And in terms of power, I would really urge you to go for some renewable sources, and have at least a couple of them. And basically, natural gas is probably the best one to have. And as you notice in this game, I do have one natural gas geyser here, and I have another one on the opposite side of the map, which I will show you very shortly. But I was just trying to find one of the geysers that I had here. I do have an extra geyser somewhere around here, a hydrogen geyser, which I can't find at the moment. This one, so which I haven't opened up yet. But if I actually need more power, I do have another source here that I can use some hydrogen generators with, for example. But right now I was using natural gas generators, this one here, and the other one over here, which you see is actually full of gas at the moment. So that quite covers my needs, and I do have quite some coal as well. So I have 36 tons in case I actually need it. I should, and I'm not actually actively using coal at the moment. I'm mostly gathering coal, some coal, extra coal, with my hatches, my hatch runs, and I'm using the natural gas from these both pumps. It has come out to be enough for now. But yeah, again, if I needed more, I would just try to find either another geyser like the hydrogen one which I found, or try to be as limited in terms of coal usage as possible. So I would first try to exhaust all my other options in the map, and there are always at least two natural gas geysers, and probably you'll find another source of power. Now, if you don't have another source of power, you can also go for the petroleum generator or the steam turbine eventually. The petroleum generator is also fine. Right now I'm not really using it just because I have quite some power, and I prefer to use my petroleum here for plastic. I did create a separate tutorial about this, and I'm just using the polymer press in fantastic temperature here. But this is a late game thing. The other thing that you should be careful about is water, obviously, and you have to roam around your map and find all the water resources. There are no two ways about it. I do have in this specific map, I have a cool steam vent over here, and I have another one nearby over here, and I'm always looking for more water. So you see here, I'm setting up for a new, for getting some new water over here. And I have exhausted a lot of water pockets in this map. So especially from that side, I have pumped a lot of water. And yeah, you should be doing a similar thing in your game. Just try to find all the sources of water. And if you really need more, potentially even some vents like this one, the polluted oxygen vent, could also be used for generating water if you cool it down and create polluted water, and then you sieve it out. So there are some ways about it, but generally speaking, you have to be very 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 wary about water use. You have to be super careful about the way you use water, and if you don't have enough, just don't waste it on food also, like maybe go for mushrooms, for example, as I'm doing here. So that's another very important thing. Again, like, so we talked about power, and we talked about natural gas, and obviously another very important thing to make sure that you have a sustainable presence in the game is your exosuit docks, which I have one for here. I have one here and another one here, and I'm obviously, whenever I'm going to areas that I shouldn't be going without protection, my dupes are using exosuit docks. Very very important as well, and I can eventually very slowly work around and dig them out and clean them so that my dupes can work without their suits eventually even. But for now, I just use my suits. Like, you see, this area, for example, is almost cleaned out, but you'll see that there's still some slime line, just because there's polluted oxygen around still. And I'm slowly using deodorizers, but then you also have to sweep so that no more polluted oxygen is produced, and that takes time. So just take your time. I mean, you don't need to be in a hurry. So yeah, I would say that these are the most important things for this game. As long as you establish that you have enough water, and you have good sources of power and electricity, and you have your suits, you should be good to go, because generally speaking, food is easy to come by, at least at the moment. So you should just be fine. And as you probably already know, I have created a lot of different tutorials for all the different aspects of the game, and I will still be creating more and more, just because I think it's super helpful for people who like the game as much as I do. And again, as I mentioned, please let me know if you really want me to describe some specific thing about the game. I will definitely arrange for that. So yeah, and also make sure that you have your power arranged in a power grid type with transformers here. You have your generators and everything as close as possible, and that won't always be the case, of course, because some of the things have to be quite far. But that's okay. You can still find some spaces, some areas where that your dupes are not really visiting, so that you can pass your ugly wires from. Generally speaking, even if you do that, stress shouldn't be a big deal. You see, but my stress here is like 6%, practically non-existing. Even though I do have some, badly decorated areas, it really just doesn't matter so much, especially if your dupes are not visiting that much. And yeah, you see here, for example, I'm just passing the very ugly cables, the heavy watt wires. So yeah, this is something that happens. So no big deal. I mean, it shouldn't affect your dupe so much. And another thing that I'm trying to do here is pump some chlorine. I'm actually creating a vacuum here. This is another mechanism that I use a lot. I just have a gas pump that's pumping the unused, I should say, gas outside. so that I can actually fill this up with my own gas later on, which is going to be chlorine in this case, because it sterilizes everything, and I'm going to be having all my storage in here. I do have some chlorine here. I wish I had some geyser of some sort in order to be able to get renewable chlorine, but that would do it as well. Hopefully, yeah, that helps you. Those are some some very high level tips, and obviously for lower level stuff, you kind of have to to check my other tutorials. And the last thing that I would say is that always make sure that you get enough tubes so that your colony is not in danger of depleting resources. So you see here that I'm in cycle 500 and I have 14 tubes. I could easily have gone 25 or 30, but I just don't want to take more risk than needed. I mean, I prefer to spend a little bit more time instead than actually taking a lot of risk and eventually, causing my colony to collapse just because I need a lot of food quickly or I need a lot of oxygen quickly. I mean, you could do it, but it's it's a little bit hectic for me. It's not my favorite way of playing. That's it. Again, thanks for watching, and as always, I'm gonna be seeing you in the next one. And for more about oxygen not included, just stay in touch and subscribe. Why not? And I'll see you. Bye.